This is the road to the final. Another place is filled in. As you can see there to the left of the trophy, Croatia are now on that road. And next up for them, it is the winners of tonight's game between Brazil and South Korea. And that is coming up rapidly on Friday. Despair for the Japanese there. They have brought a lot to the tournament, but look at the Croatians. They're through again.
Yeah, we spoke about the keepers, who's going to be the hero. I think Livakovic was excellent. I think Minamino's penalty starting it off was a poor effort, and I think that kind of put them in the driving seat, and then there's pressure on the other Japanese players to step up and score, and I think Livakovic was excellent in goal. And as I said, keepers can always be a hero, and he was there today. He done really well with the saves.
Yeah, it's a dream as a goalkeeper, Shay, isn't it?
Well, we mentioned beforehand, as you said, you had the moment in Japan. Actually, ironically, Japan's lost today, but Livakovic, he's an absolute hero. They say 3 penalties out of 4. What can you say? You can see he's a bit emotional after the game, and rightly so. It's moments like that. Sometimes goalkeepers don't get credit. Maybe that's me being part of the goalkeepers union, but I think he deserves a lot of credit. You could say some of the penalties were poor, but if you dive the wrong way, then they hit the back of the net. So give Livakovic great credit. He's imagine the scenes back in Croatia now. Remember them back in Ireland when Paki made them saves. So he'd be a big hero in Croatia tonight.
I know they have had such a great history in this tournament, really, haven't they? When you think they were all the way to the final the last time, they were third back in 1998. Can it be third time lucky?
I don't know. I mean, the manager done a good job, you'd say. Took off some of the older players. They looked leggy, and especially someone like Modric looked really leggy today. And again, I said before, the extra time, an extra 30 minutes onto these legs, and then the recovery time shorter for them. For example, England have 2 days extra to prepare for their quarter-final than Croatia do. They play Friday, so that's an unfair as well. And have Modric and co got enough energy, got enough in their legs to go again on Friday?
Yeah, and Dalic, I suppose, we're looking at the Japanese manager there, obviously speaking to his players. They had hoped tonight that the spirit would get them through, that they would make that first quarter final, especially obviously after beating Japan or Germany and Spain, 2 former winners on the way here.
Yeah, I think, and we spoke about it throughout the game, I think they've captured everybody's hearts. I think everybody kind of secretly wanted Japan to go through, because they have been kind of the underdogs within the tournament, and obviously not just the players on the pitch, their fans off it, I think have been excellent as well. But I think we touched off it throughout that game. I think Croatia's experience paid off, particularly in the second half, kind of seeing it through, and then, as we said, going into the penalty shootout, they've been there before. I think a few of the Japanese players maybe just lacked that little bit of composure from the spot, and I know we've given Livakovic the credit, and rightly so, but I think the penalties that they took kind of were poor penalties in the end, and they probably just couldn't get there in the end, as I said.
And we see Modric there saluting the crowd. I mean, when they took him off, we thought maybe this is his last ever time on a World Cup stage.
Yeah.
He lives to fight another day.
We'll see him again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about him before. I think we speak about it every time you mention Croatia, and rightly so. He's the Messi of Argentina, the Ronaldo of Portugal, the Mbappe of France. Modric is that key superstar that Croatia have, so he's a brilliant player, and look forward to seeing him again on Friday. And you just don't know. Again, momentum goes, and they've take belief off the back of this game and they roll into the game on Friday. But you look like, I would imagine Brazil will have enough later on in that game to get through. So that's a massive game again, Brazil-Croatia. It
was a big call by Dalic to take Modric off. He would have come in for a hell of a lot of flack had things not worked out.
Yeah, but I think he did speak about it after the Belgium game, that a lot of the players were tired, and you would imagine that the older players in the group, like Modric and obviously Kovacic, getting around the pitch a lot in that game too, so it definitely catches up on players, and I think it was the right decision. Obviously it's paid off for them here now, but I think for me, I've watched Croatia now a few times, and I think we've kind of talked about their legs and their age and team a few times, and they've proved us wrong in every game they've played. I do think Brazil, that might be a step too far with the young, energetic players they have kind of in the attacking area. So it's going to be a tough game for them against, if it's Brazil, it could be South Korea.
What do you think about penalties overall? I mean, often we don't see the deserved team going through. What did you make of it today?
Yeah, I mean, my only argument would be because it's again condensed Premier Leagues or leagues around the world, wherever the players have come from, condensed because the World Cup's in the winter time. Of course, these games are coming thick and fast, and is there an argument for not having any extra time and going straight to penalties? Because we have to get a winner somehow, so there has to be some way of deciding who wins the game at the end. But did we need the extra 30 minutes? Did we see that much quality in them 30 minutes to justify, playing out them 30 minutes? Probably not. But the penalties, I still believe there's there's huge hype around it, and there's even argument. Someone said, I think for future World Cup games, if it ends in a draw, you might get a bonus point if the game finishes on a penalty shootout, even for the group stages as well. So it gives you that buzz, that entertainment, good or bad, I suppose.
So after it all, after the extra time, after the penalty drama, did the right team go through?
I think just about. I think Croatia did just pip. I know I kind of went with Croatia from the start, and Shay was saying Japan, so maybe I'm being a bit stubborn here and keeping with it, but I think they did just show a little bit, as I said, experience told within that game, and I think they just about pipped it towards the end. It's
their third time. They still have never lost a last 16 game at the World Cup. Japan's journey, though, eventful journey, now at an end. Let's get straight to the end, straight to the good bit, and the hero for Croatia. Those penalty saves.
Yeah. I mean, you can see the scenes. I mean, you could say the penalties were poor, perhaps, but again, if he goes the right way, then that's Minamino, you would expect to score as a striker. Again, all these, that's probably the best save there. Claire, right in the bottom corner, gets a really strong hand on it. They didn't look like they were conviction running up to the spot. They looked, I don't know if it was, I was said before about what's going on in your head, but maybe a nerve situation or whatever, but they didn't look convincing walking up to the spot, and it's a pressure situation they're in.
Yeah, I know, because they had shown courage up to this, the Japanese, hadn't they? Had mental strength, they came from behind, but maybe this was a step too far for them. Yeah,
I think when the first penalty was missed as well, it's automatically in your head, I have to score the next, you have that extra bit of pressure, and I think particularly when we've seen Yoshida coming up the centre half, you're kind of going, you're thinking he's not going to score this, especially with the keeper.
Moment to half,
yeah, with the keeper, obviously having the bit of confidence from saving the first two, he just didn't fancy his chances. But again, the keeper deserves a huge amount of credit to make the saves as well.
Yeah, it's a fantastic day for him. You've been at the other end of it in a World Cup shootout.
Yeah. Gonda, obviously the Japanese goalkeeper tonight, he'll be gutted. I mean, they hit the post one, but he didn't make any saves as well, But again, he's relying on the other players to score, of course, to give him that sort of little bit of hope that he can be the hero, perhaps, But he didn't do a lot wrong. Had a great tournament, and again, as I say, I wouldn't be too harsh on Gonda, the goalkeeper, because the pressure's all on the taker, really.
Okay, let's have a look back at the second half goal then. Shay, you're going to take us through it.
Yeah.
Perisic, which
we're just going to look at it on the screen here. I mean, we'll look at the setup. They're quite patient, I think, in the build-up. They're building up nice and easy, playing nice and easy, keeping it nice and compact. I just want to look at the Japanese defensive line now. So the ball gets played back. I was running back there a second. Just keep an eye on the back four. And when you say to any defence as a goalkeeper, as soon as the ball goes back 5 or 10 yards, you've got to shift up. And if you watch these guys here, the four of them, they push up together. What do you see when the ball goes back now? They get up together, and they've got a really good line as the ball comes into the box. Now there's an issue with the right side of fullback here. He's the wrong side of Perisic. He has to be inside with his arm across him, stop him getting to the ball. Now the fullback, you can see he's under pressure. He can't get round. But taking nothing away from the ball from Lovren, and that header, wow, that's an unbelievable header. I think most defences, you'll see again with the back line here. So we'll just stop it there. Going across there, that for me, that's a perfect line. You're on the edge of the box. You're happy as a goalkeeper. The space between that back line, maybe the goalkeeper maybe a couple of yards further forward. But again, it's a good line from the back four. But the ball from Lovren into the box is just phenomenal. And again, you'd be saying, header from there, no problem. This angle now, I just want to pause it here. That header right from there is literally, it's starting probably 2 yards outside this post where you can see in the shot. And watch the way the ball swerves in. That's probably the best header I've seen in the World Cup so far. It's a phenomenal header and gives Gonda absolutely no chance. And that's the lifeline the Croatia needed.
And it kind of had come out of nowhere at that point for the Spurs man, hadn't it?
Yeah, I think we spoke about it before the game as well with how Japan defends. Obviously, Shay's touched on the line there. There's not many gaps. It has to be kind of intricate, a really good ball in, and it was from Lovren. He put a great bit of pace on it, and the header that he had was a great finish. As Shay has already said, it's a tremendous header back across the keeper, and keeper has no chance of getting to it.
Yeah, he hadn't scored in a while. 28 matches, I think we had said for club.
Good time to get one.
It's a good time to get one, isn't it? And a third World Cup he scored in now.
But again, we talked maybe at half-time or during the game about the experienced players coming into the fore. Lovren with the cross, who's obviously into his 30s, and then Perisic with that amazing header. So when you want your experienced big name players to pop up, they did there with that huge goal for them.
Yeah, experience. We keep coming back to it, don't we?
Yeah. It seems to be the word of the day. Yeah, definitely. As I said, we've touched on a lot of those players for Croatia and their age and their legs, and can they still do it? And they've proven there tonight that they can, especially with those moments of quality.
Yeah, now the Japanese did have some chances as well. They kept a lively play when they had the ball. As we've talked beforehand, they're often happier without the ball.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're looking forward to seeing how they would be in possession. I think they were limited to a couple of kind of shots from distance. You see that one there from Kamada, and then it comes out here again. It's Endo, who I think was very impressive today himself, and Doan really stepped up to the mark. This is a great save from the keeper, just touched it over the bar. And then it comes in here again, it falls out to Mitoma, as I said, and he plays it through to Tomiyasu, and you're just thinking, have a shot. And he's just, I think Stephen touched on it in commentary, you're thinking maybe is he just not having that striker's instinct, he tries to pass it across goal. And this one again is the one we touched on before, it's Kamada, or Mitoma makes a great run. You can see Kamada ahead of him, makes that run to create the space, and it's a good strike just for the keeper. I'm sure he's happy that it's come straight at him, but it was some good efforts on goal from them there, but it was all kind of long range efforts more so than kind of that intricate bits of play that they needed to have.
Yeah, and good efforts too from the Croatians at times.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a cagey game. It was close. It wasn't, as Stephanie rightly said, there's no like really mad clear-cut chances, you know, but they had a few half chances as well, Croatia, a few like long-range shots, and this is a brilliant save here from Gonda. You know, when Modric gets that and pops up, you think, oh, that's got into the goal. This is Budimir come off the bench. There's a good ball into the box, and just, I don't know if I think it might have been his first touch off the bench. I think it surprised him a bit. You know, I think I'd expect a better header off him there, to be honest, and at least ask the question of the goalkeeper to try and make a save. And we talk about Perisic again. You know, that's not too far wide either. Good effort from him, but again, not mad clear-cut chances, sitters or anything. We're saying we're talking about like lots of stuff from outside the box, and that Mayer had that shot just wide of the post as well. So in a game then we're talking about, is it maybe too much football for some of the legs? There wasn't loads of quality, and a lot of the stuff was from outside the box, and maybe when you get lots of shots from outside the box, it's a bit of a desperation. You know, they're not moving the ball quick enough. They're not, you know, as Stephanie rightly says, not creating them like clear-cut chances. It's a lot of long-range stuff.
Yeah, because we had spoken about that beforehand, hadn't we, in terms of Croatia, their lack of attacking pace. I mean, they 2 games scoreless in the group stages. Yeah,
and I think if you look at the goals that they got against Canada as well, a lot of those goals were just really good bits of play from Perisic, and Kramaric had a great game in that game as well. But in this game, there wasn't too much of that kind of good, intricate play, kind of through balls. It was all quite long shots, hopeful efforts from distance, and obviously good quality crosses in for the goal, and the kind of pinpoint ball into Perisic, who finished it really well. But yeah, definitely I think there was a lack of kind of proper quality chances within that game.
And the Japanese opted to start with their super sub this time, Doan. That was the right call?
Yeah, it was. I mean, he came on and he done really better. He was probably one of their better players when he came off the bench. Is it the right call? I suppose we don't know. Had he started, might have been different. I don't know. But he was a very good player. And Maida as well. We looked at him. I think he, you know, a lot of people back home, Celtic fans, will be watching him and his performance. And he played for just over an hour, but he left everything on the pitch. Like most of the Japanese players, you could see them at the end. There were a few cramping up, and you know, the shift that they put in there, they did on the country proud. And again, they were all bowing at the end in front of their fans. You know, we said about before the game, they're so respectful. They're such a lovely population, and you know, they'll be going home to their country, you know, with their heads held high.
Yeah, let's take a look at some of Dohan's play today then.
Yeah, I think he just brought a little bit extra. I think we talked about his goals coming off the bench against Germany and Spain, but starting today, I think he started against Costa Rica, and there were a lot of question marks over him. He kind of didn't really have the impact that you wanted him to have. I think he just had a lot of this kind of moments. He was coming inside, getting good balls in. He won the ball back. We spoke in the first half about Modric not getting on the ball. I think a lot of it was down to him and the other midfielders just picking their pockets and getting on the ball. A lot of the stuff he done in the first half was quite just little small moments like this. There was nothing too extravagant, but I think it's the balls into the box that really caused trouble for him. As this one here comes in, this is the one before the goal as well, which the keeper and the defender had a bit of a mix-up, and it's come back in, and again a good ball in for the goal. So I just think he really kind of stomped his authority on the game, and I think, as I said before, I spoke about him, will he kind of have the same impact? I think he kind of had that token, or that tag as a super sub, you know, but I think today he definitely showed a little bit more of what he had, and we thought he was really good within that game.
Maida then we spoke about, you mentioned him as well, Shay, obviously the Celtic man. He produced the goal in the first half.
Yeah, again, and we mentioned him at half-time as well. A lot of the good stuff came from him as well. Maida, he's press. He never gave the defenders or the goalkeeper. I think in the very first minute, he's right in the goalkeeper's face, and that's what we said, that the energy was high. And again, the manager had to make subs because he tired, you know, second half, and he brought him off. But all the good stuff came through him in the first hour for sure.
Yeah, and his first competitive goal for Japan.
Yeah, I know. It fell nicely off the corner. It was a great ball in, and it just deflected to him. And I think it was Guajardo maybe switched off. But you can see his press here, Claire. He's just literally, he doesn't stop. And if any Celtic, as I say, fans, I've went to watch him as well. He runs for the whole game, and he doesn't stop him. It's a great ball, and he just a fraction off it. I think he took his eye off that header. Little bits around the box, maybe has to sharpen up on his touch a bit more clinical in front of the goal, perhaps, you know. But if you're wanting someone, you know, people say that you defend from the front. Well, this guy definitely defends from the front, and you know, the work rate and how he plays, then he has a bit of quality on the ball, and again, you know, does strong, holds Modric off here. picks the right pass on the box, and you know, they could have scored from this chance. And here's the thing: we just had a circle around him here. You know, most people would switch off at that point. It goes over your head. It's nothing to do with me. But he actually comes alive. It's the opposite. He comes alive in the 6-yard box and gets his better luck. I think Guardiola, we spoke highly about him. He just takes his eye off the ball, and he's there to stick it away.
Yeah, certainly a nice moment for him. Unfortunately, those going home now. Moving on to the next day then, and we have mentioned it already with this extra time, with the penalties. Croatia, an ageing squad, they're turning around really quickly on Friday.
Yeah, it's a strange one. You think maybe that the England game would be the day before because they played yesterday. I don't know. I don't really understand what the ruling on that. But again, you know, we talk about a team getting to this stage, quarter-final. It's the people behind the scenes that don't get a mention. Sometimes the medical team, the sports science, all these masseurs in the next few days. You imagine the many massages Modric and co will have to get. You know, they'll be working really hard, and they're sometimes unsung heroes that, you know, people don't see or hear about. So they'll have their work cut out in the next, 48 hours to get them ready for Friday. But again, we talk about the experience, the mentality of these players. They'll be ready to go Friday, whoever they face, whoever wins later on.
Yeah, rest and recovery will be needed because they're likely facing the Brazilians.
Yeah, and I think obviously we've talked about the energy and the youthfulness of the Brazil squad. I think they have a lot of players that the Croatian players will have to worry about. But as Shea said, I think when you look at the experience within that Croatian side, they'll be doing everything they can. I think I've, as I said, questioned their legs throughout this tournament, but they've proved us wrong time and time again. So I'm sure they'll be ready for that game come Friday.
Okay. Stage into the quarterfinals, and they now await the winners of tonight's last 16 game between Brazil and the South Koreans. We've been speaking about, I suppose, the physically draining it has been playing that extra time and the penalties, and given the age of players. Is it mentally going to take a lot out of Croatia now, or are they too much of a hardened campaigners?
Probably hardened enough and experienced enough to roll on again. Momentum's brilliant in a competition, especially in a World Cup like that. They'll get the energy back from the belief of getting, you know, going through a penalty shootout, the confidence that brings, roll on the next game, and it's a quick turnaround. But again, it's definitely rightly said. We talk about the experiences. Can their legs go another game, and they just keep proving us wrong. And they'll look forward to the game in the quarter-final on Friday. Yeah,
it is a nice bounce to have to go in to the next game off the back of that drama.
Yeah, and I think to win it the way they did, obviously they stuck it out. I know it's a long game going into extra time and penalties, but again, I think they made a couple of changes, and the players that came in seemed to do okay as well. So they definitely have a few players who can definitely step up if needed. But I think, the momentum of that win will definitely serve them well, and they'll be looking forward to the game.